it as best we can and things are live. Wonderful. And now we're in. I think people will start trickling in now on the attendees. Wonderful. Fantastic. I can see people are joining too. Hello, everyone that's joining us today for this exciting webinar with Benji Pays. I'm joined today by Adam and Avery. We've got some exciting content around billing, how best we can sort out your invoicing and leverage new features that they have released with Benji Pays, or at least new integrational features that I haven't seen yet that I'm very excited about. But before I kind of move forwards, if everyone could maybe type in the group chat for me to say where you're calling in from. Typically, we have a little competition between Europe and the US, where we try and work out who everyone's calling in from, and hopefully Europe's going to win at some point. But normally there's already one from Canada. There we go. US. Yep. Okay. Okay. I see the direction we're going here. Wonderful. Michigan, Alabama. Okay, guys. I think we. Yep. Okay. That's all. If anyone is here from Europe, feel free to shout out as well. I think the US might be winning today, though. Minnesota, Ohio. Wonderful.
Must be a time
Awesome.
zone issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe people don't want to do their 5 p.m. calls, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
people are on the way home, maybe hitting rush hour, something like that. Fantastic. But yeah, very exciting today, isn't it, guys? Obviously around billing and some exciting new features to streamline invoicing. But before we move forwards, guys, I'll let Adam and Avery jump in and introduce themselves for anyone that doesn't know them yet. Over to you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Benji Pays. Doing this for, I don't know, 5 years now. And I think we've been working with Halo for about 3 years now, I think, right, Avery?
Yeah, we've almost hit
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, yeah. So I come from a technical background. I'm a software developer slash whatever. I started my career in MSPs. And yeah, this is being able to like have Benji Pays and work with folks like Halo and just solve real problems is my favorite part of the day. So looking forward to sharing some of that.
Fantastic. And then
Awesome.
over to Avery.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Avery. I'm the co-founder of Benji Pays. I like Adam, got a background in IT. I started internet help desk in the 90s, and worked with. I've got a background in infrastructure, setting up servers and the SharePoint consultant for about 15 years. So lots of Microsoft background and yeah, like Adam, I'm loving Benji Pay's life now, working with great partners like Halo, lots of MSPs and being able to help connect all these systems together has been super fun.
Of course, yeah, and I just have to say as well, it is wonderful to work with you guys. The time has flown by. We are nearing 3 years now with our partnership.
Yeah.
But it is quite good because we're very like-minded in the way we do things, very quick to jump on any issues raised either side. And also it's just nice to be able to deliver something that is providing value for MSPs. But enough on myself anyway. Oh, well, actually, I introduced myself. Hi guys, my name is Joe, one of the executives here at Halo. Been here for almost 4 years now. Started off in the support desk, moved on to the prospect facing side of things, and now I mainly host webinars and presentations and do a little bit of consultancy on the side. Not as exciting as Adam and Avery, but I'm here and I'm enjoying myself. Now, we'll just move over to the slides that Adam has as well. Quite an exciting session here today. And I believe we have a couple of live demos. Is that correct, Adam?
Yeah, we're gonna dig into a couple of areas here. So let me get this share and we'll get things going. So good, I can still see you guys. Never know what Zoom's gonna do.
Yeah.
You're all good. And we can't see any extra pages either, which is a good start.
Yeah, we're actually going to start with a quick demo from Avery just to kind of give you guys, some of you already know this, some of you don't, but we just want to give you a quick overview of how Benji Pays and Halo work together. So actually, I'm going to unshare right away and get Avery, you want to take over?
Sure. Sounds good.
Forgot about that part.
Yeah, no problem. My Halo screen come up?
Yep, we can see it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, sure. I'll do a quick demo of Benji Pays and our integration with Halo. So basically we integrate directly with Halo for a number of things like the invoice PDF and some settings and things like that. And the actual accounting data comes to Benji Pays through your accounting system, whether that's QuickBooks or Xero. And we're going to be adding more accounting systems soon. The next one we're going to be looking at is Microsoft's Business Central. So Yeah, just to get started here, it's going to generate a new invoice in Halo. So this invoice that I'm creating is just a one-off invoice, but it could be a recurring invoice. However an invoice gets created, the end result should be the same. So I'm just going to select an item to bill for, select a date here. And then as soon as I save this invoice here in Halo, I'm going to get invoice number 2189. So what's really cool about our integration is everything's instant. So as we can see here, invoice 2189 is in QuickBooks right away as soon as we generate that in Halo. And then if we just go into the Benji Pays portal here, there's a couple different ways I can open this up. Oops, one sec. Something open there that it shouldn't have. 1 second here. Okay. So invoice 2189 is going to be right here in the portal as well. So as soon as that invoice is created, it's available everywhere. What's really nice about this compared to the way some systems have worked in the past or other systems is that as soon as the invoice is generated, it can be sent out to the client, and there's no worry about them not being able to pay it because it's not in all the systems or something like that. Everything just works smoothly. So now that this invoice is in all these systems, we've got all these different options about how we can actually get paid. So the customer could come into the payment portal to pay it. It could be automatically processed by Benji Pays when it's due. Benji Pays can send an email with a payment link. You've got all sorts of options available to you to what fits best into your workflow. Just to demonstrate for this one, let's just pay this invoice directly from the payment portal here. So this is the customer's view, by the way. The customer's logged into the payment portal, and they can go ahead and pay this invoice, or they could pay multiple invoices. Let's just go ahead and pay this invoice. So another one of the nice features that Benji Pays has built in is credit card surcharging. So what this means is that when your customers are paying you, if they choose to pay by credit card, you can recoup those processing fees. So it's not costing you to accept credit card. Benji Pays also works with ACH in the United States and EFT in Canada. So in this case, let's just the customer will accept this surcharge to continue, and then a few things are going to happen right away. So the customer that is paying the invoice, as soon as it's just processing with the gateway, as soon as it processes, a few things should happen. The customer will get a receipt, and as you saw, it's very quick. Everything happens right away.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and so this is the receipt coming to the customer with all the details from the transaction. And another nice part here is the actual Halo PDF is attached to the receipt. The receipt was sent by Benji Pays because the transaction Benji Pays orchestrated the transaction. But Benji Pays pulls the actual invoice PDF, or if there's multiple invoices being paid at the same time, it'll include multiple PDFs so that the customer who's paying doesn't have to run around looking for what they paid for. It's all there and available. And then if we just follow this invoice back, we'll just be able to, so that I think that was invoice 2189 we just paid. Let me just confirm that, 2189, yeah. So if we open up invoice 2189 in QuickBooks, just get that open, we can see it's paid. So Benji Pays has posted the payment to the invoice in QuickBooks. And one of the really nice little features about Benji Pays that MSPs love is Benji Pays records all the details from the transaction right to the memo field in QuickBooks. So what this means is that your bookkeeper or your accountant, they can stay in the system they're used to working in, right in the accounting system. They don't need to be able to go log into Halo or Benji Pays or anywhere to get the information they need. It's all recorded right where they need it. In this case, because there was a credit card surcharge applied to this transaction, Benji Pays has also done the bookkeeping for that. That's taken care of, generated a journal entry for that. Now, if we go back into Halo and we'll just refresh this invoice number 2189. Just take a second here. And the Halo integration with QuickBooks will pull that payment right back into Halo as well.
Yeah.
So that
That'll
one
be instantaneous, won't it, via the API for payment processing? So that'll
yeah.
be from the moment you're pressing it in Benji Pays, that'll sync straight through to Halo, which is fantastic.
Exactly. That one comes through right away as well. So yeah, we can see date fully paid, amount paid. So that's all done. So yeah, that's the very basics of Benji Pays. I'll show a few other little things here real quick before we move on. So I'm just going to go back here for a second. This right here is the Halo customer portal. where your customers can log in to view their tickets, view their invoices, and all these things. So we've got a few integrations into here. So first of all, right on the My Invoices page, right in Halo, this pay button, this is one of the integrations that Benji Pays has built with Halo, which allows a customer right in their Halo portal to click pay and be able to pay their invoice right from within. So that's one of them. And then another thing we've got is we've added an iframe for the Benji Pays customer portal to show up right in Halo here. So
Oh,
that's what
brilliant.
this is. Yeah, so this is a really nice thing because you know, customers have so many places they need to log in and so many things they need to do. If we can consolidate everything right into their Halo portal for all of their tickets, all of their billing and everything right there, it's really nice. They can manage the payment methods and everything and see their invoice history, everything right from within the login of their Halo portal. Um, so there's also a very cool new feature. Adam, do you want me to mention that one now, or is that
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the way that yeah, I think it's important to mention that the iframe works because we have a SSO integration with Halo's IDP, and we're the only ones that do that. You can actually integrate your SSO for your customer portal with any OAuth enabled IDP. But in this case, Halo is the one, and we got a new feature that makes it a lot easier to manage access for your users.
exactly. So we've got new features being released right away, but so previously, in order for your customers to access the Benji Pays portal, they have to have their email added in Benji Pays, which is it could happen pretty easily, but it had to happen somehow. So now what our new feature is if we go look at our customers in Halo and go to our users and find a user and look at their permissions. So there's a permission here called can view their invoices. So if this is set to yes in Halo now, you don't have to do anything in Benji Pays if you have the integration set up to look at this property. The customer will be able to log right into their customer portal and access the Benji Pays portal because of this setting. So this is just
Fantastic.
another basically everything, all these integrations we're doing are trying to make it life easier for the MSP, make it easier for you to get paid, and make it so that you have less administration work you have to do, just automating as much as we can.
And just a question on that as well, because obviously down to their role, could we link that to the user roles then, the kind of broad global roles that you can give to end users, as there is the checkbox there for can view their invoices. So you could adopt that from a role that you're syncing in from Entra, for example, that could give them the opportunity to do that as well. If you did want to link it to the global user roles, for example.
I'd have to test that for now. Like we know for sure it works with that, and it works with linked users within Halo. This is actually, without getting in too deep into it, like this is actually a property on the user object that we can obtain. So we're not looking at the roles and whatnot. But that's definitely something we want to look at. Like how do we, wherever you're managing access, like how do we make it so you can do it at the same place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that it can be adopted from that role. There's also, sorry, a question as well from the group, from Todd, asking the payments tab in Halo, does it reflect that it was done by Benji Pay somewhere?
So the payment? Oh, you mean in
Within the
the
invoice?
within the invoice? So I don't think that one shows Benji Pays. If we look, let's have a quick look at see what gets recorded here.
I'd assume if it's pulling it in from QuickBooks, potentially no.
I think it
Yeah,
just says
probably.
it just says paid from
Yeah,
through the integration. There's
yeah.
no notes or any detail here. Just
But I
showing.
suppose an alternative could be to have potentially a report within a custom field that could maybe represent that it was if we're pulling it from the portal potentially, which sure could look
Yeah,
into.
and
Yeah,
one
potentially.
easy place that would definitely show is right within Benji Pays. So any of the approved transactions would be showing. These are the ones that have happened within Benji Pays. These transactions. So that's there as well. Awesome. Okay, yeah, there's a couple other cool features that I just briefly will mention really quick in Benji Pays. So I quickly mentioned auto processing. So auto processing is like one of the greatest features in Benji Pays, but especially with your recurring invoices, you basically just get everything set up on autopilot. So when your customers' invoices are due, Benji Pays can charge their credit card or ACH, send them a receipt, post the payment to QuickBooks, which will flow back into Halo. It's done. You don't have to lift a finger, just get it set up. So that's auto processing. And then there's lots of reporting within Benji Pays for being able to see what's happened and where things are at. And then one of the other features, and Adam, I'm not sure if you want me to talk about Invoice Rover a bit later, or
Yeah,
you
we'll
want to
do
do that?
that. We'll do that a bit later. We're going to set that up. So
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, that's an overview of Benji Pays and our integration with Halo.
cool.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm going to take
no
over the
problem.
share here and figure this out here. Oh, stop. Having trouble with Zoom today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the fact that you are integrated with our IDP as well then. So that single sign-on, I suppose, would lock you in for, I guess, all three products in a way, which is really seamless. And it's just the API connection being instant is so important for cash flow as well. And
Yeah, totally.
as you mentioned with automating as well, the goal is to put cash flow on autopilot, isn't it, at the end of the day, just to
Yeah.
save that time, to make sure that things are getting paid, really. But yeah, it's a very exciting integration. And I'm excited to see the Invoice Rover as well, which is pretty cool.
All right, here we go. Okay, so thanks Avery. Yeah, and there's a lot here. We're gonna include the slide notes. Most of this is we're gonna go through it. We want to talk about the importance of like cash flow and how and automating that, but also how it ties back to your customer experience, your business, obviously, and why you really want to be paying attention to, not only how you get paid, how fast you get paid, how easy it is for your customers to pay you, all of those things. So we talked a bit about. We showed you Benji Page, which can automate a lot of the AR, like bringing stuff in. So what Halo, usually things start with Halo, right, Joe? Like we're going to automate those invoice
Yeah,
generation.
absolutely. And it's about automating your recurring managed services. A lot of people do like to keep it quite manual. I generally find the string of things is people begin fairly manual with their recurring invoice creation and then slowly move towards that automated process to make sure there's no human or technological error along the way, really. But if you are automating, there's huge benefits. Obviously, first of all, the one that goes without saying, saving time by removing the need to manually create each invoice. If you are automating it, once it's in a good position, it does minimize billing errors and omissions as well. And also, cash flow predictability is very important, especially for financial tracking. If you are automating these things, you will have a better understanding of your cash flow when you are reporting on it too. And also, if things are in a timely manner, client satisfaction gets a lot better as well, which is why recurring services in Halo are quite important if you are able to automate them. And you mentioned obviously number two there, awaiting review. We can use the awaiting review module in Halo. With technically just a setting that you can switch on to allow you to track or check every action that is logged. If you wanted to review them and double check whether things are actually being billed in the correct manner, you could use that. Some people like to use maybe timesheet approvals for these as well. You can submit timesheet entries if you'd like to, and that automated review process, you can submit a timesheet for an approval process, and time entries can be locked before they're calculated. And this just, as you know, would reduce bottlenecks and approval delays, and also improves accuracy because you can catch those issues before those invoices are sent as well. And then obviously for the single sign-on piece, that's where you guys are nicely integrated too. I'll probably pass that over to Adam.
Yeah, so like we're not going to go through each of these things. Avery covered most of them, but these are things you want to think about when you're looking at how you're going to process payments, how you're going to get your customers access. And, a lot of folks who don't have a system like Benji Pays will say, well, why do I need this? And the thing that kind of goes overlooked is like the obvious one is, well, we're going to automate your payments. That's the obvious thing. That's kind of brass tacks. Everyone's got to do that. But where you don't always think about is like, it's all the post support that you get around invoicing and admin and AR. So like, hey, there's this charge in my bank account. I don't have the invoice. What is that for? This is a question from your client, right? Well, by giving them access to the portal and a billing portal and their invoices, you can eliminate like 90% of that and just like really reduce the amount of like incoming noise that your admin team or you, if there's a smaller team, has to deal with. So that's the kind of thing when you're thinking about like, well, why would we do this? It's like, yeah, it's going to save you some time. It's going to save you some money, but it's also just going to save you some stress and noise, right? So this is the kind of things you want to look at. So think about SSO. Is the system going to like send out the Halo invoice? You want your branding and brand to be consistent. Can you use a custom domain? All of these kind of things. And then the last one would be like, we're going to show this in a couple minutes, would be invoice rover, like that follow-up, automating the whole process of follow-up. And how detailed can you get with that? You're going to see Benji Pays, we typically take a pretty detailed approach. So in general, I think both of us, like Halo and Benji Pays, we really come from things from a technology first, right? Like at Benji Pays, we're not bankers. We happen to be in payments and fintech, but we didn't set out to build a fintech payment company. We had a real world problem that needed solving, and we used our backgrounds and our knowledge and skills to do that. And that's what we love doing. And I would say that HaloPSA comes out of that same kind of solve the problem approach, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We like to look at problems and try to effectively solve them to make, I guess, lives easier for MSPs using it. We also like seeing the challenge of a problem and approaching it. It's just I can see that with you guys as well. It's quite exciting just to watch how things are developing and how quickly, as I said earlier, that you guys do jump on to resolve issues. It's amazing just to see that you're from that problem solving background, you're technical, and you will be able to answer the questions that need to be answered, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it's what we get. It's why we get out of bed. So, there's a lot of common challenges that MSPs are facing. You got this duty to your customers, to your employees, right? You're running a business. People are depending on you. As you grow, the more and more people are depending on you. There's more competition from other small folks, nimble startups, to larger, folks that are kind of like gathering up MSPs. And so, like, how do you differentiate? Like, what are you doing to make sure your customers are happy with the level of service in every interaction, right? And it's important to remember that, like, your brand is a differentiator. The customer experience is probably the biggest thing, right? And every interaction, not just your service desk, not just with your techs, is an important part of your brand and that customer experience. So you really want to ask yourself, like, is this, like, does the process I have now easy for my customers to pay me? Like, if it's not, like, they're probably not going to pay you on time, right? Or it might get delayed. Is it easy for my team to deal with, or myself? Like, if you happen to be someone who's like the one that's still running these things, do you have to do this on a Saturday morning instead of spending time with your family? Like, that's the kind of stuff you want to think about. How can we make this better for everybody? And so how you get paid obviously matters. You want to be able to offer lots of options. You want one-click options without login. You want auto pay. You want them to be able to go into a self-serve portal. And you want to make sure, like, the follow-up and everything is automated and thought out. Like, the messaging needs to be clear, concise, and consistent, right? And so you don't want awkward follow-ups. You want to take the human, like, I think, John's a good guy. I know he's a week late. He's probably just busy, so I'm going to wait till next week. And next week comes, well, John's probably just hasn't seen my email. I'm going to give him another week. You want to take that out of it. You need to automate all of that and just, like, really, like you're running a business, right? And so we always say, like, you're not a bank. Don't act like a bank. Yeah, so this is kind of along the same things. You're just, like, we all know the margins are tight. They're getting tighter. Automate the stuff. Try to drive your payment costs down if possible. Like, offer options for banking and credit card with a surcharge. Lots of our partners do that. I would say majority do that, actually. It works quite well. So we wanted to talk a little bit about something called DSO, or Day Sales Outstanding. So some of you might know this term or have heard of it. And so DSO is a metric that is used in finance to calculate how long it takes you to get cash into your bank account for invoices you have issued, right? So as we all know, I think, like, we know that you can issue an invoice. Let's say we issue an invoice for $1,000. You have revenue of $1,000, but you don't have that money yet. So you might be profitable on paper, but if that money never comes into the bank or takes 45 days, you're basically financing that labor, any hardware costs that might have been on that, all of those things, right? And so DSO as a KPI isn't, it's not going to tell you why things are late, but it's going to tell you that things are taking too long or that they're going well. It's just a way to have a standard way to calculate how long it takes to get paid. And so There's a few different ways, and I'm not going to go into the details here to calculate DSO. The accountants always they come up with these things. The simplest way is you just take your accounts receivable divided by how much you sold times the number of days it got to get paid, and you get a number. It's really simple. It doesn't really account for things like spikes and dips in revenue and things like that. We recommend the countback method, which also happens to be the most complicated one to count to calculate. And so automating that calculation and just having it in front of you is super handy. We're actually going to be releasing DSO for our partners using QuickBooks Online. There'll be a like front end center DSO calculation with like I think it's a 8 or 12 month look back of like how your DSO is progressing, so you can kind of track it month over month and see what's going on. The countback method is really handy for it does a lot better for when you have like recurring revenue, but also some lumpiness like hardware sales and other project sales. Everything really helps you get a better picture versus the simple period end calculation. Okay. So this is something that you want to think about, and we're going to try to expose this to make it easier for you guys to look at. But and you want to do it in an industry standard way, right? So like DSO is the way you do this. There shouldn't be some other calculations that we're making up to figure this out. Okay, so a few other things that I think we all know this, like consequences of not getting paid. Maybe they're obvious, maybe they're not. You're acting like a bank, and you're paying a bank for interest that because you don't have cash in the bank. You may have late fees. You have stress of like wondering where payroll's coming from. All of these things. We've been there. Like, I've owned other businesses. Avery and I both put in like the 80-hour weeks in past businesses, definitely been in the where's payroll coming from kind of thing. And as business owners and entrepreneurs, we just figure it out, right? You make it work, but anything we can do to like reduce that DSO, improve getting cash in the bank faster is going to make your life a lot easier. And that's what we want to help out with. We want to make it easier for you. And on our last webinar, actually, there was like a great story of Fireside in Leduc, right? Alberta. Is that right, Avery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Tim there was able to, through use of a bunch of tools, take his DSO from, I think it was around 13. And he did this simple thing. And I tell everyone, I'm going to tell it again. All he did was take his recurring invoices that are the same every month that get billed on the 1st, and he had them go out on the 15th. And so like 2 weeks in advance, he didn't bill them. He didn't charge their card or pull money out of a bank earlier, but he sent it out 2 weeks earlier. And that alone drove his DSO down to like 4 or 5 days, I believe. And he had people paying in advance because they had a link there and it was easy. But also people made sure money was in the bank on the 1st, so he didn't get declined. So sometimes it's simple things like that. So that was how he leveraged Halo's automation to do that, change a simple setting. This is something everyone can do, and it does not change. It actually improves the customer experience without making them feel like they're being told to pay early or anything. They get an option, right?
Absolutely, it's less invasive, isn't it? It's just a simple change in process, and he's not invading their time. He's not invading anything. He's just sending them out on a different day. It's very important.
Exactly.
And yeah, absolutely.
So I know we're running here on time. We've probably got a couple more minutes here. So I just want to get into invoice over the details. Like again, details matter. So like Benji Pays, we spend a lot of time on the details. And so it's like, yeah, you can have a statement go out, but what if you want statements to go out differently for different types of customers on a different schedule? Or you want certain customers to get emails when they're 2 days overdue and others when they're 20 days, because those folks at 2, they're constantly overdue. And so this is where Invoice Rover comes in. And we spent a lot of time building the details of what of this. I'm going to skip over we know we can auto pay and get paid by banks and whatnot. So Avery, do you want to fire up Invoice Rover there, and we'll just show that escalating stuff? Okay, I'm going to stop the share.
Absolutely. Okay. Sure. Okay. So Yeah, we'll just quickly look at there's three different types of rules in Invoice Rover. There's account summaries, which are statements that Adam was mentioning, new invoice notifications. So when new invoices are created in Halo, Benji Pays can automatically send them out. And just like Adam was mentioning, you can have different rules set up for different customer sets. See, this one is set for all customers, but we could set up a rule for a single customer or a group of customers, or there's other options as well. And then the invoice due reminders. So invoice due reminders can be set up for coming due or overdue invoices. Coming due is great. Like for example, 15 days, or 5 days. You have an invoice that is due in 5 days. Here's a reminder, and everything that Invoice Rover sends out, every email can have a custom template. So you can set up templates that have whatever information you like. So for this overdue reminder here, we've got 3 rule periods, but we could have as many as we like. And what this means is this 3-day rule period, what this means is if the invoice is unpaid 3 days after the due date, send a reminder. If it's still unpaid 5 days after the due date, send another reminder. And each one of these rules can use a different template. So we can have automatically escalating language as the invoice becomes farther overdue. First one might just be like, quick reminder, your invoice is overdue. Please click here to pay. And then, by the time it gets to 15 days or whatever, you could have a message saying, unfortunately, your invoice is unpaid and your service is going to be terminated if you don't pay. Something like this. Hopefully it gets paid before it gets to that. But it's really nice like we've seen this in action. This helps MSPs get paid faster. It's a great tool. Just digging in really quickly to a couple of the settings. Like Adam mentioned, we spent a lot of time on this and work closely with a lot of MSPs so that we can cover as many possible scenarios as anybody could think of. So first of all, each rule can be, by default, it sends to all customers, but if we wanted to send to all customers except this customer, sure. Or if we only wanted to send to this customer. And we can have multiple rules. So I could set up a rule just for this customer if I like. Next, we have a lot of settings based on the actual invoices as to what reminders get sent. So first of all, we can have reminders based on the terms, the payment terms of the actual invoice. So maybe we want to have different rules for hardware invoices than we do for our regular recurring invoices. We can set those up right here. We can also base these rules on whether auto pay is enabled or disabled. So for example, maybe we only want to send a coming due reminder for auto pay invoices so that the customer will know, make sure that they have room on their credit card or money in their bank account, whatever it might be. Can also base these on things like the memo field and the actual invoice. This is a nice feature, skip invoices with created date prior to. Sometimes when our new partners start using Benji Pays, they only want these settings to apply for invoices going forward. No problem. We have a setting right here for that. And even skip invoices with a balance less than, like maybe if it's less than $100, we don't want to send a reminder. We'll just let them get to it. All these settings are available. And then in the email settings, so a lot of MSPs like to be like perhaps the owner wants to get CC'd or BCC'd when overdue invoices get sent out. That can all be set up here. Or the accounts receivable group wants to be notified. But what's really cool about this is there are a lot of we hear quite often that I only want to be notified when it's 15 days overdue, not when it's 5 days overdue or whatever. So very simply, just set up 2 rules. Set up one rule for the one Invoice Rover rule for 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, and then another rule with a BCC setting for the 15 days so that those settings now take place. It's all very easily configured right here. So that's a quick overview of Invoice Rover.
Yeah, thanks, Avery. And we've got when you dig into Benji Page, you probably saw the level of detail there. And it's the same as HaloPSA. If anyone's ever gone into like the advanced settings, there's a lot in there. We can do a lot of things. But I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, we know it can be done, and we feel like if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. Let's get them the settings and the tools that they need. But also, like Joe, like you said, like we just like solving these problems, right? Like these are technical puzzles for us that it's like, okay, let's go figure this out. So
Absolutely.
In the end, Invoice Rover or a tool like that eliminates the need for a human being to have to do that manual follow-up, and it can be just happening at whatever time you set the time of day. It just happens we've got a bunch of logic there to make sure not too many emails go out, duplicates don't go out, and all that kind of stuff. We probably went overkill on that, but it works really well. So, and it helps drive your cash flow, which is what in the end, like, this is what we want to help you guys with: get money in the bank, make sure you can do everything you need to do. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Awesome. And I can see we've gained a couple questions along the way before kind of finishing up. The first one from Todd is around, does Benji Pays handle pre-authorized debit within Canada?
Yes, EFT, electronic funds transfer, is available, and ACH in the US.
Fantastic. I can see Grace has put a question in. Might not be a question though. It's just saying from auto payments, you can create 2 different rules from payment terms, i.e. one for monthly invoicing and one for hardware, which is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
And then a question from Kelly around user permissions in Halo. If user permissions in Halo can view their invoices, what exactly would that do in Benji Pays? Will the user get invoice emails or just viewing access, etc.?
It would just be viewing access. So it's handy for folks that don't need to get the email sent to them or don't need the invoice and receipt sent to them, but you just want to say, hey, like, let's get this person into the portal so they can see what's going on. You'll be able to say, I want to use our standard Benji Pays access controls, so an email address, or we're going to use Halo's can view it, or we're going to use both. So you can have a combination. Of course, this, again, going into the details, like, we spent a bit more time making sure you can configure that.
Awesome. Brilliant. And I think that's all of the questions that we had so far. Any final additions for you, Avery or Adam?
No, I'm gonna just I don't know if I can do that. Oh, I don't have it there anymore. I had a demo link, but like, if anyone's interested, go to our website, click book a demo. You can reach me at adam@benjipays.com, avery@benjipays.com. Happy to help you out or connect you with the right person on our team. Chat about payments.
Fantastic. Awesome. Excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time today, guys. It's been a pleasure looking at all the exciting new features that are going on. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. Until the next one. Goodbye.
Hey, show.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.